Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking some time today to attend our webinar on the online health policy and law application process. My name is Ashley Clemens. I may have spoken with some of you. I am an enrollment advisor for this program, and my role is to assist students throughout the entire application process until you feel comfortable clicking submit.
And my name is Mariam Rahimi. I am also an advisor here at UCSF. Now for today's agenda, we will start by going over specific details and processes for some of our frequently asked about application requirements. Then we'll get into the overall goal and importance of your statement of purpose. After, we will cover some examples of student capstone project ideas and how you can come up with your very own topic and why we even ask for a brief description in the statement of purpose. Finally, we will end this segment with a Q&A, so feel free to submit your questions through the chat box feature at any time during this presentation. With that said, Ashley will now address the first application requirement.
So for students to be successful in this program, we do require that you have some working knowledge of the U.S. healthcare system. What that means is you can demonstrate your working knowledge through either work experience or educational experience. Some examples are we have had students from either a medical background, a legal background. We've had students that have taken a policy implemented course that prompted their interest in healthcare. And we've also had students that have been heavily impacted as a patient within the healthcare system. All of these experiences are valuable to the cohort and would be acceptable for working knowledge of the U.S. healthcare system. The second application requirement is the statistics requirement. So that pretty much means students have to show statistical aptitude. That can be demonstrated through a few different ways. Either completion of a stats course in your undergrad or graduate level program. It could be completed through work experience, either research exposure, and you can provide the GRE or the GMAT. I would like to emphasize, though, that the GRE and or GMAT are not required for the application. So an example of when I would suggest a student take the GRE or GMAT would be if they need to either show proof they may have not gotten a good grade in their stats course, or say that their GPA is little below 3.0. Those would be some examples of when I would suggest a student to take the GRE or the GMAT. But like I said, it is not a requirement. If you have specific questions about your situation, do not hesitate to reach out to your enrollment advisor. Next, Mariam will talk about the English language proficiency.
Thank you, Ashley. For those of you who have earned your degree abroad, there is an English language proficiency requirement. Our department, alongside the UCSF Graduate Division, asks that international prospective applicants complete one of four options. The first is sufficient completion of an accredited international program entirely in the English language. It must be equivalent to a bachelor's degree here in the United States, and this can be demonstrated through the submission of transcripts or additional documents provided by the foreign institution. The second way is by passing the test of English as a foreign language exam, or TOEFL, with minimum required scores. For the paper-based test, that's a 550, computer-based 213, and internet-based is 80, and you would submit your scores to UCSF. The third way is by passing the International English Language Testing System exam, or IELTS, with minimum score of 7 or greater, and we request your scores be sent to UCSF. The fourth and final way is having completed 1 year of study with a minimum 3.0 GPA at an accredited university here in the United States. So to summarize, the requirement can be fulfilled by achieving a degree abroad completely in the English language, taking the TOEFL or IELTS examinations, or executing a 1 year college level study program at an accredited institution in the United States. If you have not satisfied the requirement or have additional questions specific to your situation, please reach out to your designated advisor. Another aspect of the application I want to address is transcripts. Now, all students applying to the Masters of Science in Health Policy and Law program must have, at the very least, a bachelor's degree from an accredited American university or the equivalent from a recognized foreign institution. Additionally, we ask that you send sealed official transcripts from all college-level institutions. This includes your JC, CC, four-year institutions, etc. And essentially, you would need to contact the colleges you have previously attended and have your transcripts sent directly to UCSF. This is usually done by going onto your school's main website and looking for the transcript request options on their admissions and records or registrar's web pages. You can also type in transcript request in the general search bar and it should pop up. Now, if you already have an unopened official transcript copy, you can send that to us directly. Just make sure you do not open it, put it in another envelope, and mail it to our department. With that said, transcripts can be sent predominantly in one of two ways. The first is mail. And if you decide to do this option, you would address it. Line 1 would state, "Attention, Jessica Machado, HPL Program Manager." Line 2 would state 3333 California Street, Suite 265. And line 3 would state San Francisco, California, 94118. The second option, if available through your institution, is email or electronic submission of transcripts. And you can do that by putting in our main email address, which is hpl@ucsf.edu. If you did not get this information, not to worry, we will be sending out a recording and a follow-up email with this information. Now, there is a third option. It's Interfolio. We are able to access transcripts from this service if you subscribe to it. In the event that you want to submit by one of our early decision deadlines, or if the final deadline is quickly approaching, you can upload unofficial copies of all transcripts onto your application, and that is sufficient for review purposes. But depending on admission, we would need the sealed official copies sent over, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, finally, the transcript request process can be a lengthy one. And we definitely advise that this be one of the first requirements you work on. Now, Ashley will go over another time-consuming requirement, letters of recommendation.
Thank you, Mariam. So the letters of recommendation, the first concern I would like to clarify is that an academic source is suggested but not required. So that means if you do not have any connections with your professors from your undergraduate or your graduate level program, not to worry. You can ask a boss, a colleague, a mentor, maybe someone that has worked with you on a professional or a personal project. Those are fine to ask for letters. So like I said, an academic source is suggested but not required. I would definitely say it's more important the content than the actual source. Since we are coming pretty close to the application deadline of June 1st, I would suggest also asking more than three letters of recommendation. So you can reach out to maybe up to 4 or 5 individuals just to make sure you meet the minimum requirement of 3. Also, another suggestion is I do encourage you to tailor your letters towards this program specifically. Maybe focusing on personal or professional qualities that would be beneficial in your success as a student. So going over the request for letters of recommendation, what students will do is they'll open up the application on our website. You will input the email address of the recommender. Our system will send them an email prompt. The recommender will have to upload the letter themselves. And then once they do upload the letter, unfortunately, we aren't able to send out a confirmation. So if an applicant is missing any recommendation letters or any part of their application after June 1st, you can expect to hear from our program coordinator, Jessica Machado, or myself or Mariam. We will definitely reach out to students if you're missing an application component after June 1st. Next, we will talk about the statement of purpose.
When it comes to the statement of purpose, the overall goal of this document is to clearly demonstrate to the admissions committee who you are as a person, what brought you to want to pursue health policy and law specifically, skill sets you bring to the table, your achievements to date, how you want to improve the healthcare system here in the United States, and really the promise you hold for the future as it relates to our program, to name just a few things. It is the one component of the application where you get to provide your perspective and really shape how you are viewed when being considered. Now, you will want to address the prompt we have listed on our application, and it reads, please state how the Masters of Science in Health Policy and Law program will complement or contribute to your career goals, provide any personal or professional background information which may aid the selection committee in evaluating your suitability for the Masters of Science in Health Policy and Law program. The statement should also include initial ideas for your capstone project. If you did not get this down, no worries. Once again, we will send out a copy via email as well as a recording. Now, your statement of purpose should be concise yet exciting and unique to who you are as an individual. And there is no specific format. There is just a 10,000 character limit as noted on our application. And the final thing to consider is that the initial capstone project ideas must be described in the statement of purpose, and Ashley will talk more about it.
So something exciting about the program is that we do offer students a capstone project. This is a project that students have complete creative control over. They can do an internship-based project, a research-oriented project. A student can write or reform a current existing policy. Mariam will dive in a little deeper on the different methods of projects, but I think the main takeaway from today is that the capstone is definitely an opportunity for students to address a specific problem in healthcare that they've been exposed to either through their work experience or their educational experience. So I would like to share a few examples from our current cohort. One student is actually focusing on opiate addiction. He's realized in his community that opiate addiction is a very scary reality, and he feels that doctors do not emphasize the importance of alternative medicine. So what this student has done through his capstone is he's actually reached out to a few different resources that he's been working with, and he will be creating a policy that doctors will have to implement alternative medicine before prescribing prescription drugs to curb opiate addiction. So that's just one example. Another example is one student is actually looking at international healthcare organizations and systems and comparing them to the U.S. healthcare system. So that's another interest of a student is international healthcare systems and really comparing and contrasting. Those are two examples of capstones, but like I said, it is really up to the students' creative control over what they would like to focus their capstone on. And if you are still a little unclear, don't hesitate to reach out to your enrollment advisor to discuss further details.
Now, for this part of the program, all students will work with their main faculty mentor to develop their capstone project, and depending on your specific topic, you may be connected with industry professionals that could provide greater insight. For example, one of our students is currently working on rewriting existing healthcare policy, and in addition to collaborating with their faculty advisor, they have been introduced to a policy writer in Washington, D.C. And that's just one example. Now, generally speaking, there are two models for the capstone project. The first is bringing a problem or question that you've been thinking about and ultimately creating and executing a plan to tackle that issue. The second model is if you have more general interests, you would partner with our faculty, UCSF and UC Hastings, to work on problems related to those interests that they have yet to take on. Now, I hope it's clear at this point why we ask you to share your initial ideas in the statement of purpose, in addition to making sure if this program is a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for the MS in Health Policy and Law. We really just want to pair you with faculty members who share the same passions and will best assist you in accomplishing your personal and professional goals throughout this program. Now, with this final comment, this concludes the presentation portion of the webinar. Let's get into the question and answers, Q&A. One question is, when do we start working on the Capstone Project? The Capstone Project is something that you work on ongoingly throughout the Health Policy and Law program. Students have an HPL seminar course where they will not only cover current events as it relates to the U.S. healthcare system, but also work on their capstone project. So you will be working on your capstone ongoingly, definitely develop it more throughout the program.
One question that just came in, is this a full-time, part-time, and is it 100% online, or do I have to come to campus? So to address that, this program has two different options for part-time or full-time. Students can take a part-time 2-year option or a 1-year accelerated option for this program. This program is 100% online, so students are not expected to come to campus at any point. But we will be hosting events like mixers or any local events through the UCSF UC consortium. You are included in these events as well. So we will send out anything that might pertain to your interest, but like I said, there's not a formal requirement to come to campus during the program at any time.
Someone asked what the deadline is. We do have one final deadline remaining for the fall 2017 application cycle, and it is June 1st. So you want to make sure that you get all of your requirements in by then. And note, you can submit your application before the deadline, and letters of recommendation and transcripts can arrive after.
One question we just received are online courses or classes, pre-recorded or live? What opportunities are there to interact with faculty? Good question. I would say, one, the program is asynchronous, so the lectures are pre-recorded. They're maybe 8 to 10 minute bite-sized lectures, so students can view a few different recordings through each topic of interest. But they are able to view them at their own time. So you can definitely tailor your school schedule around your work schedule. In regards to interaction with the faculty, it's going to be very similar to any other online program. Faculty members will have online office hours that you can set up an appointment with them. You can also reach them via phone, email. If you are local, I suggest definitely reaching out and seeing if you can meet face-to-face. That's always an option. But from the feedback I've received from the first cohort is our faculty is very responsive. They usually turn around questions within 24 to 48 hours.
Another question is if we could share examples of capstone projects, additional examples. Others that we have come across include students who are interested in their local community involvement, so how healthcare plays within their specific cities or states. We have seen students interested in focusing on that. Are there any other examples, Ashley, that come to mind?
Not that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
The next question would be, what opportunities are there to network between the cohort. So we do have some informal opportunities. We've hosted a few mixers for the cohort before they started last year in July. There will be some group projects, so students will typically utilize Google Hangouts or Skype to interact. But the cohort this year was maybe a little bit above 35 students, so it is pretty intimate. You would be able to build relationships with students depending on the type of group project you're working with. But yeah, from the feedback I've received from students, there has been some interaction amongst individuals in leveraging that network moving forward. Mm-hmm. So for the Capstone program, students will actually be assigned a mentor based off of their topic of interest.
And just to kind of build on other examples of capstone project ideas, students are interested in rewriting existing policies. They're interested in developing new policies. Some want to do the comparisons between Medicaid, Medicare for California, Medi-Cal. Other students are interested in compliance and how that comes into play at various organizations, and also discussing the different insurance options available to patients. And there's also clinical focuses as well. So how patients understand the process that they go through. So there's a lot of different things and directions that you could take the Capstone project in.
Yeah, a few examples that I was actually thinking of while she was speaking was that one student was really interested in athletic performance, and he felt like there was a lack of policy and law to protect athletes in a professional setting. So we're talking NBA, MLB, and he was really interested in crafting policy that would advocate for athlete rights to make sure that, head injuries could be prevented or treated. So that's one avenue. The second route one student was mentioning was that their family was really impacted by the ACA and what that reform will look like. So they really wanted to dive into, like I said, international healthcare. How are other countries focusing on supplying healthcare for their citizens? Sorry, it's lunchtime, so I was drawing a blank.
Another question came in about the spectrum of our applicants to the program. What does the cohort look like? Our first cohort ages range anywhere from late 20s to mid 50s. Working professionals mostly, I would say. Some students are in the healthcare sector while others are looking to get into the healthcare sector or related areas. And so we have students from a variety of backgrounds.
So one question that was asked, does this program prepare a student for future enrollment in a JD program with an eye towards health care and law? So there's a few different ways to answer that. I want to be transparent in saying it's not going to prepare you to take the bar. So that's not really the entire goal. It will prepare you on how to read policy, how to create policy. Some of the hard set skills you'll learn is legal research and writing, and then program evaluations. So I could definitely understand how it would be beneficial for someone who's looking into practicing law, maybe pre-law, but I just want to be clear that it's not going to exactly prepare you to take that bar exam.
Mm-hmm. Or even the LSAT, it's entirely a different examination, but this will definitely provide you with great insight into what a law program would look like, as well as a strong foundation to be considered for a law program. So it's definitely a great way to stand apart from students who apply directly after completing their bachelor's degree. Not to mention our faculty are also some of them are from UC Hastings College of the Law, so you will have those connections as well. There is another question regarding graduation. So even though this is an entirely online program, we do have an on-campus graduation ceremony held at UCSF, and we are also hosting our own reception after. We are expecting our first class graduates this June, so coming up shortly. a question has been brought up regarding the foundations of this program. So even though this program was first offered in fall 2016, it has been in the works for about a decade, and it stems from a health policy and law consortium that was a joint effort from working professionals in the industry of health policy and law, faculty at various institutions who are extremely passionate about this program, and through that consortium, a few different degrees were developed, and this was one of them. We offered it in fall 2016 because the accreditation was finalized. This program is WASC accredited, and that is one of the 6 major bodies in the United States.
So if you do have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your enrollment advisor. Out of respect for everyone's time, we're going to wrap up the webinar now, but we really appreciate your time for today. And like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out with any specific questions. And remember, an important deadline, June 1st, for the application for our fall 2017 cohort. Applications are due June 1st. Thanks.